Oh, so good.
It's
So good.
amazing. Glad I'm here this week because Travis just shit on it last week.
He did.
I wouldn't say he shit on it. He was just he seemed less than impressed. And I like me listening to your guys' review because unfortunately I slept through when you guys recorded the review last week. But when I was listening to it, I'm like, oh man, what are you talking about? That was such a good intro. So I like the theme with Boba. It's so fitting. Like, why would you complain about that? It's gorgeous.
I know. I know. I don't get Travis sometimes. Oh, and speaking of Travis, he is not here tonight. He was
He may be.
online
Yeah.
like an hour ago. So
No, yeah. He's playing some
yeah,
COD right now, trying to get a win.
yeah. He told us he was logging off just to get us off, but he's going back in there.
Him and
into
Emily are
Warzone.
going. Yeah.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're here. Spoilers review for episode 2 of the Book of Boba Fett. I am the twins Taylor Field.
And I am the daimyo, Kirklin Patzer.
Yes. Before we get into the review, a couple of plugs. You can find us on our home base, GeekVerse.ca, social media, GeekVerseCast on Twitter, GeekVerse on Facebook, and additionally, you can find us on Patreon, where you can get ad-free, early, exclusive content episodes. Great time, lots of fun stuff on there, including the Harry Potter retrospectives that you, me, Dylan, Jessica piled through. That'll be coming. It's available now, but it'll be dropping later this year. I think the summer is when Travis said publicly on the main feeds. So there's that.
Very nice.
And I think that's all the plugs I can think of. Oh, we just did the movie 2022 preview.
That's
Yeah,
right. It was lots
so
of fun.
That's good.
3-hour cast. It was a long one, but it was lots of content, lots of fun jibber jabber. And I always love those ones because there's always movies I just have no idea like anything about, or maybe just never heard of them. And then we have the list right there, so we go through the heavy hitters and maybe some that we've had our eyes on. So it's a lots of fun, and we went hard, and we had a lot of laughs in that cast. That was lots of fun. That was our first cast 2022, and I think it was a great start. So go check that one out.
So I guess, do you want to give your overalls for like episode 1 in the spoilers
Yeah.
or the non-spoiler section?
Well, I imagine if they're listening to this one, they've seen episode 1.
I hope so.
Yeah, I would hope so. Otherwise, it's a
Okay.
weird place to
Okay.
to start. But nonetheless, I'm gonna give my episode 1 spoiler review very very quickly. Yeah, no, I feel like I was very lukewarm on it. Like when people asked me what I thought of the show, I thought it was extremely mediocre, which isn't a bad thing by any regard. There was a lot of stuff I liked in it, but just a lot of stuff that I didn't realize I just didn't care much about. And yeah, I listened to your guys' review, and I was telling Travis this off cast. I felt like I was really in the middle between you and Travis. Like I was in a weird area there where I wasn't quite as positive as you on it, but I wasn't quite as negative as Travis. And Travis wasn't even necessarily that negative. I just felt like the stuff that he had issues with, you liked, and I was like somewhere in the middle. I'm like, it's pretty good. I thought the action was great. All of like the set pieces of like Jabba's palace, that stuff's just great. It touches my nostalgia in all the right places, and it was really fun, like world building and just being back in Tatooine. Score is phenomenal. We got Ludwig, as I like to call him, him back, just killing it with the score. And yeah, no, it was great for that sense. But I think just the character stuff and the dialogue, I wasn't a big fan of. I'm not really a big fan of Boba helmetless at the moment. I don't know. I feel like the Mando is a good amount of face reveal for a show like this. I understand the criticisms that you'd get by doing that, but it's so fitting. Like I feel like that fits Boba. But not. Yeah. Overall, that was my long, short review of episode 1, and yeah, episode 2. I'll let you give your talks since I just spoke some words. I need a little beverage. So.
Well, yeah, episode 2, I loved it so much more than the first episode, and I like the first episode a lot, especially after watching it a few more times. This episode it was amazing. There were so many things that I wasn't expecting. So, like, again, I don't need a lot of action. I just need sometimes the political side of Star Wars, and it just hits me. It hits home for me, and we got like a dose of that in this episode, I feel like. And
we got a heavy dose. We got a double dose.
Oh yeah. I am so stoked for what's to come. Just like they set up the foundations for some very cool story arcs and everything that we're going to see, and some developments, and I'm just so jazzed on what we're going to get out of that. So
Yeah, it's. I figured you were gonna go that route. It's just it touches a lot of just world stuff or galaxy stuff with Star Wars that I know you love. And as I was watching, I'm like, man, I feel like I know where the two being you and Travis, like where both you lied, and I feel like it was fairly opposite side of the spectrum. I could be
Mhm.
entirely wrong. Maybe Travis absolutely loved this. I feel like maybe not, because
I think he'd be here right now if he loved this episode.
yeah, that's true. I think I'm a lot more on Travis's. I don't know why I mean speaking for him. I'm on the opposite side of you for this
Mhm.
one. There's a lot of stuff I just really didn't care about. There was stuff I was laughing out loud because it was just really calm. I'm excited to talk about specifics, but like I legit was laughing out loud. I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm watching this right now. And it was I don't even want to say it was a bad way or like a good way. It was in a very confusing way because I'm like, okay, this is Star Wars. I loved again like episode one, the world building of Tatooine. Not really a spoiler, but like we get a little bit more of Jabba's palace and like all that stuff. It's just like, oh man, this is Star Wars. This I love. I love the Gamorrean guards. They are
Mhm.
awesome. They look so sweet. I'm so glad that we have them in the show. Um, got some Twi'leks and like all those characters, just like reminding you Star Wars is around and the world or the worlds that they have in Star Wars are really really awesome and really really unique. And when you get away from all the drama of like the quality, whether you're arguing like the last trilogy or anything like that, I feel like just the world of Star Wars is so awesome. That's what I love about these types of shows is that we just get into the universe, and that's why I think my overall thoughts, at least so far with the show, especially because I think this episode reaffirmed a lot of my maybe suspicions from where the show was going from season one or episode one. Sorry. I feel like I lost my train of thought. Gosh, 1 in the morning. Where was I going with that, Taylor? Take me back. I feel like oh yeah, so sorry. I feel like character stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm not totally attached with the characters. And I'm not so impressed by the dialogue or anything like this, but just what's going on in the world, it's good enough for me to want to watch through them. I don't know. I was kind of rambling there for a little bit, but I still think there's a lot of good quality stuff in here. But it like this episode also, it was 53 minutes, I think, including credits. I don't know what is that, 43 minutes of runtime or something like that. It felt extremely long. I felt like we had an entire like fucking plot point thing unravel. I don't know. I'll dive into a lot of my cons and specifics in the spoiler section, but overall, I think my mediocreness feelings from episode one carried over in this one, maybe brought down a little bit, but like it's not a fail or anything. It's just okay. This isn't going to be a mind blowing show. I have my expectations much lower going forward for the rest of the season, which could be good because I don't know. I feel like it opens up to like big surprise and a big mind blow or something like that because I don't know. I felt like I was lukewarm even watching this episode, but then there was a couple moments I have and I was like, "Holy fuck, this is awesome! Like this is new awesome stuff." Kind of like feelings that I had from Mando, right? Like season one, for an example, just seeing like Baby Yoda for this first time, Grogu. It just like that stuff of being like, "Oh my god, Star Wars can still surprise me with something new." Like they have a good amount of nostalgia and like throwbacks, but it's like oh man, they have some good stuff that's brand
Mhm.
new, and this is really exciting because it makes you more interested and invested in like the future of Star Wars as opposed to just being like, oh, everything's gonna be not as good as what I have from either the original trilogy or maybe some. If you're like me, like some books from the Legends, a lot more than like the regular canon. So, like the positive stuff that's new is always great. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take our first ad break and then we're going to jump into some spoilers. So we will be right back. And we're back. All right. Where do you want to start on this?
Um, so yeah, let's start with the flashback thing, like the Bantha tank that's just becoming this like
It's
PTSD
the
memory
anvil,
trip.
as
Oh, it's
Travis
it's
says.
it's exactly that, and it's so funny too because Travis, I think it was in last week's review. He was scared that this was gonna be like the new anvil, and it's like
Mhm.
as soon as it happened to this, I'm like, oh my god, this is it. This is literally it. And I don't think that's gonna be the last time that we experience this. And kind of what I was mentioning in the spoiler free section of just like now I kind of have a feel of where we're going with the show is okay, it's the book of Boba. This is chapter like we're going through different chapters of like his tale, I guess, from like the Sarlacc pit to where he is now in the wherever current canon. Um it's going to be a lot of flashbacks and a lot of just like I guess you'd call them filler because I don't know, this whole kind of show feels mostly like filler. Like it doesn't have a lot of I don't know weight to like I don't know. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to
It's not
spew there.
like
Does that make any
galaxy
sense?
ending kind of stuff.
No, and it's not like I don't know. I feel like no matter what happens in this season, it's not really gonna matter because it's kind of like Boba. Um,
Hmm.
maybe the Tatooine stuff would matter, but Tatooine is already just such like a sketchy place in my mind. I feel like there's not. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here. You just give some thoughts on the Anvil flashbacks. I guess I yeah no. You give your thoughts.
Well, I mean, yeah, going into the last week's review and Travis making that call out, like it could have gone either or, and now we know it definitely went either, and it's gone the road of him having the flashback experiences every time he's in the Bacta tank, and I've grown more accustomed to it and I'm like on board with it and okay with it, and that's mostly because I'm really excited to see his dynamic with the Tusken Raiders. I grew up just thinking like, oh, Tusken Raiders are just savages. Like, yeah, Anakin, he's turned to the dark side, killed all of
Yes,
them.
Anakin.
Yeah, and
Kill
that's not
the
good.
woman
That
and the
was
children too.
yeah,
Little
that was
Taylor.
like 10-year-old Taylor just on the bandwagon of the dark side. But now, just kind of going through. There he is. Going through where we're at now, I just am blown away because this show has really made me fall for the whole culture of Tusken Raiders. And again, I definitely got into it when I was watching The Mandalorian. I was definitely really into like, okay, yeah, there's a lot more backstory to them, but now seeing what we're seeing here with Boba going through this journey with them through these flashbacks, I think is a great way to kind of showcase not that Boba is becoming the good guy. He's not becoming like a hero, but especially in this episode, I feel like it kind of reiterated the fact that hey, he's very honorable, and I really
Yeah.
like that. He's got super great intentions, and I think the flashbacks are really working out.
Yeah. Yeah, so to come from the positive side, I really, really like majority of the flashbacks from episode one. I forgot to shout that out when I was talking about that episode of like the Geonosis pit, Camino stuff, like just a lot of like the prequel flashbacks. That was really great to see, and I liked it again when it popped in here, like when he's like tripping on peyote, he's like fucking see the Tuskens like give him this like hallucinogenic drug and he's like totally tripping out.
Oh
I really
man.
like that scene visually. It was really great of like transitioning from like him to the Mandalorian armor and again like flashbacks and all that stuff was great. And I like seeing the more character stuff of Boba, but I feel like where we're going with this honorable route, it makes me realize that like, oh, I think I like the character more of just like a silent badass bounty hunter. I don't know, like it's awesome that you really like it, and there's definitely gonna be many other people that like the Tusken Raider stuff. I was very iffy on it. I feel like I never really was eating into like what they're giving me with like this whole Tuscan thing. So for me, it was a major just drag because it was so long. It was just okay. Now he's training with this guy, and like just that scene was so long. Fast forward to when he's like making his staff, and it's just this really weird like carpentry scene. It could be like a scene out of Ghost, the way the Tuscan was like behind him, and he's like doing the chisel, and he looks back, and he's like, yeah,
Oh
and they
man.
like lock eyes. I swear to God, they did that at least 2 or 3 times. And like those like moments like that I was just like shaking my head. I'm like, holy shit! Like on the surface level, I'm like, okay, Tusken Raiders are really cool. I really like their design. It's cool to just see more of them. Because I always thought they're mysterious, but I kind of wanted to learn more about like just their culture, I guess. And I got a lot more than maybe I bargained for in this episode. Because when we were just spending so much time with them, I was like, I don't think I really care about this much. So there was a lot of Yeah, just like extended scenes, it seemed like, of him just like hand to hand combat, like not even dialogue a lot of the times. They're just like a training montage. We have that with like the two scenes I just shouted out, and then also when he's like teaching them how to be a biker gang. It was just, I felt like I was on such a ride, and at a certain point I'm like, I feel like you could take this, especially when he doesn't have the Mandalorian armor, and just have it like a different type of movie or something. Specifically when he goes to like the bar and just beats up all the thugs. I'm like, you could pitch this as like the hairless hobo, just like vigilante going through and destroying all these bikers. Like that was a specific scene where like he just comes in. I'm like, I can't even see Boba like in this instance. This is just some crazy man with a stick just fucking up these people. But um I don't even. I was jumping all over there, but I think just a lot of the Tuscan stuff I wasn't totally eating in on, and that was basically the whole episode. I was very surprised that it was a whole episode of a flashback. But when I was mumbling my words earlier about just like where I think the trajectory of the show is going, I think it's majority going to be flashbacks tied in with like this mayor ordeal. And yeah, like nothing's really pulling me that where I'm like, oh my god, I gotta see next week's episode or anything like that. I don't know. You speak on the Tuscan stuff because I was kind of going for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Tuscan stuff. I love how they've taken him in, and we're getting to see him adopt their culture and just this great relationship. Not a fucking chance in hell would I ever want to experience a lizard going up my nose and getting high off of it. That sounds so fucked.
I was shocked when that happened. I'm like, holy fuck, these guys are just like assassinating him in this instance because it's just so like abrupt. They like throw this spice dust in his eyes.
Yeah, that's a whole new fucking level of shit right there. Like that's higher than death sticks. That's a whole new high. So
Yeah. So I mean,
But-
they're peyote tent. They're just like way off in the desert. Like they're all wearing their goggles. Like they just look so creepy. I'm like, holy fuck, we're going on a wild ride.
Oh yeah.
in this episode.
Speaking of wild rides, like the training of using the speeders and everything, I loved all of that. It was great.
Yeah.
I was getting sucked into it when they were like successfully like learning and doing it, and then when they went to raid the train, I was heartbroken when I saw them dying. Like now, if
I feel like every fucking Tuscan Raider got murked in that.
oh
pursuit.
yeah, it would cut to the Tuscan Raiders, and the two snipers on the hill would just be dead, like two shots, like just brutal. And it's just again, I'm reiterating what I said earlier. If I were to take the scene from Attack of the Clones where Anakin is coming out of the tent and like slash both sides, those Tuscans, nothing. I don't feel a thing. But in this, I felt every single Tuscan getting killed, and it hurt my heart so hard. So.
A fun just parallel to this movie. You've seen Dune, right?
Dune?
Yeah.
The one we reviewed together?
Okay, it's late. I couldn't remember if you're on that review or not. My gosh, yes, 1:00 in the morning. But I felt like there was so much Dune in this episode. It was so
yeah.
funny. Of like, okay, he's training with like the Arrakis like people, and like they're wearing like pretty similar costumes, and I'm just seeing so many similarities here. Boba's literally like the Messiah to these sand people by the end of this episode, especially when they're like robing him and he's just standing like fucking Jesus Christ. And then just like he literally calls it a dune at multiple times. You have like little. Have you seen The Fifth Element? This is gonna be a deep pull with like. Do you remember like little Aziz and his light? Aziz light.
Oh yeah.
At the beginning, you have like this little Tuscan like running through the sand with this little like mirror thing. I was just thinking of Dune so much in this episode, which is good, great movie. But I don't know. I think there was many moments where it was hard for me to just really eat in on the story, and it made me just like pull like comedic parts from it, which made it enjoyable to watch, which is always a good time. But it wasn't like a Boba episode that I would expect, because I think, as I was alluding to, is I think the show is making me realize I maybe just don't care about the character of Boba. I really am interested in the guy in the armor, or not the guy in the armor, the armor, the armor that is like the soldier of Boba, and just like bounty hunting. So I don't think that's what the show is really, because like even in the last episode, Jabba ruled with fear, I ruled with respect, and we're just seeing a lot more like honorable Boba, which is fitting because that's what the show is showing, of like these these trials and tribulations that he goes through that makes him a more honorable character. I think I just don't. I personally just don't really like that storyline too much. But it's
Yeah,
awesome for
fair
you.
enough.
I love your enthusiasm for it, and like I was saying, I can at least enjoy the episode for like my own reasons.
Hmm.
It's a fun time, but I don't think it's really. I don't know. We're only episode 2, but like I think right now I'm like I probably won't have to revisit this show once it's all said and done. Um, but yeah, no, I like just to pose you that question. Like, do you like the fact that we're just going through like just pretty much flashbacks, and then we have this like mayor storyline on the side that'll probably be like the end of the show, I would imagine, like that whole ordeal, and then we just keep going like flashbacks of him as a character, or do you think we're maybe not even going to get flashbacks anymore because now he's gone, like he's a Tuscan now, he's the Tuscan
Yeah.
Messiah essentially? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on some of that stuff I was spewing?
I mean, again, I'm loving it. I
Yeah.
think that what you and Travis have said so far, I think, is very relevant in a large portion of the Star Wars fan base. That this show is definitely tailored to specific fans. I would say just what it's offering, where you have the Mandalorian offering one portion of content that Star Wars fans can rally behind and can enjoy. This is offering another portion of that. Again, for me, it's the political side. It's seeing all these different cultural dynamics between the different alien species and stuff in Star Wars, and I'm loving all that. And as
Yeah.
far as your question goes, getting more flashbacks, I think they could lean off of them a few more episodes in, because yeah, he is full Tuscan now, but I honestly feel like we'll get a little bit more flashbacks of the Camino stuff, which I am so
Yeah.
excited for, because we got now twice another two Camino shots, and this one was him just like watching his dad go off. Although that was that during the backed stuff? I guess it was. It was like a dream within a dream, because it was him drugged,
Yeah, that
all
was like
high
the
on lizard
peyote
stuff.
scene. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Inception, exactly. Leo DiCaprio's just like appears. Come on, Boba. I need
Yeah.
you. What's the code?
But yeah, that kind of stuff. If the flashbacks transition to more stuff of like young Boba, I just think that would be awesome. I
Yeah.
was I was telling Madison when we were watching this episode the other day, the first episode. I don't think she understood why I was getting so excited. I was like giddy in my seat. I'm like, Madison, Tamura Morrison played Jango Fett, and now he's here and he's playing a different character, his son Boba Fett, but it's the
An
same
older
actor,
yeah, and he's older now.
He's
Yeah.
older, but and he also played Clone Troopers. Like, it's just
Yeah.
so cool.
That is
She
pretty
thought
cool.
it was crazy, but
This kid's taking crazy pills.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with like I like seeing it's not even really like different scenes really from the prequels, but I like that we're just bouncing back to it and seeing like little Boba, stuff like that, and I
Mhm.
hope we get more like different point of views from like maybe just if we watch the prequels we're seeing like different scenes or something happening behind like just young Boba at that time, maybe even interacting with Django. I think that would be a really cool moment because
Ooh.
a lot of that stuff I'm really eating into, like I do like that stuff, and again I feel like because I'm liking that stuff, it's tied to the stories that I knew, and that was the Boba and like Django Fett like storylines sort of that I understood that you guys are just badass bounty hunters. Now that we're like peeling back the layers, I'm like, ooh, maybe I don't need to see all this stuff, but I'm here, I'm seeing it, and I'm gonna be giving my my takes on episode by episode. But no, I agree with you. I think there is some really golden moments from those flashbacks. Um, it's just weird when like, okay, we're gonna go see the mayor. This is our plot line. He gets absolutely just. How does he even go to the Bacta tank? Does he just get fucked up again? Like, is that just gonna be a theme where he just
In episode 1, it was because he was hurting. In this episode, I think he just
he
went
just
there
goes
because.
in? Okay, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
because that's
We
the
were
kind
in
of
Tuscan
thing.
land for so long, I completely forgot how we were even there.
It's what Darth Vader did too. I mean, there's a point where I think he just stopped. But yeah, when you're damaged, you just always go in the back to tank. Just kind of
Yeah.
one ups you.
Again, like the Baron from Dune. That's what he does, right?
Yeah, that's
When
what
he
he
recovers.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was just weird for me that we just had such a long time with the Tuscans, and I already mentioned some scenes that I would cut out because I just felt they were so long. Um, yeah. But let me let me refer to my notes here. Oh yeah. Another thing I just completely laughed at was just like this train just coming through, and at first like you don't even know what it is. It's like way off in the distance. It's
Is
like
that Crate
Dory
Dragon?
seeing a whale like in the water, but it's
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, holy fuck, here comes Thomas the Choo Choo Engine. And he's just like shooting laser beams, and it literally is just a drive by. It's like Grove Street, doo, 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 just a
Yeah.
drive by, and then it's just gone. I'm like, what the fuck was the purpose of that? And then originally when Boba like goes to that pub and like fucks up those bikers, I thought those were the dudes that did the drive by. I'm like, no, this is just a completely fucking random beat up
Let's just call him
where
out. You guys are
Boba just,
fucking killing people
Boba
with your train.
Boba just comes in and fucks them up and just like takes a drink and walks out like a badass. And that's like my hobo with the stick pitch for a movie, because that's what it felt like. It was so random. And then I'm like, oh, okay, this is gonna be where they get the revenge on the train dudes, but they're completely different fucking aliens. I was so like, there's no tie there. I don't know. I felt like it was really weird,
Well, the
really
guys
really
in the
weird. 'Cause
bar thought they were in shit because they took the guy's chips. That's why they thought they got the shit kicked out of them.
yeah, that was so funny too. It's like a fucking high school bully. He's like, oh, fucking nerd. Doesn't say that, but he's just like eating his chips, and like the dude's just like sweating like Jordan Peele. It's, he's like, but it was again like a comedic moment where I'm like, what the fuck is even happening here? This is so weird. And like by that point, it was probably 10-15 minutes past when um, we saw Boba like before he went in the bantha tank. So it was a weird episode for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, probably a good time for a little pause, eh?
I was gonna say, yeah, we'll take another ad break and we'll be right back. And we're back. So you had mentioned the mayor storyline and everything, so like in the present day kind of stuff. I really am digging it. Now, I wasn't sure where we're gonna go with it in the first episode because I thought, okay, like I don't know who this mayor character is. Obviously, it's a new person for this storyline. I know we're gonna get into some more political stuff, but first of all, he's an Ithorian, Ithorian or Ithorian. I can't remember. I think it's Ithorian,
I knew
which
you'd
is
have the
super
race
cool.
down. I knew
Oh
you'd
yeah.
have the name. His name was Moss for me
Moss,
or whatever.
yeah. But yeah, I thought that was super cool. I love the dynamic of this assassin, I guess, for the certain
Knight
whatever
of the
clan.
yeah, I forgot they're even called. Again, it happened so early in the episode and there's so much Tuscan stuff. I felt like I was getting secondhand peyote from that drug that Mando took, or not Mando, Boba took.
I have no idea who the assassin clan is or whatnot. I have to look more into
They
it.
were
But
so pathetic, or him was so fucking pathetic too. It's like he will never talk. He's one of the biggest assassins ever. The door's like a quarter of the way up, and he just like spews out the name, and like, oh my gosh, like what? Like this, like come on, this is kid stuff. Like I feel like very early on in this episode, because that's when that happens. I'm like, oh, okay, this is strange. And then we just had some weird dialogue from Boba without a helmet, and I think like that early on, I was like, oh, okay, this is the flavor that I'm getting, because this is what I got in the last episode, so I'm getting, and nothing wrong with that. Like maybe this is just more geared to a younger audience than I was expecting, but it's just. I don't know, like for you, did the dialogue like stand out? It was just like, oh, this isn't like fucking Shakespeare. I'm not claiming it's supposed to be either. It's just it felt very very not mature Boba, or very not mature bounty hunter type
throughout the
of.
whole
Yeah.
episode, or just his dialogue with that assassin?
I think a lot of the stuff around Boba specifically, honestly, like a lot of the times when he's conversing with Fennec or just like trying to be a badass with certain people, I just feel like it's not really intimidating for me, and maybe he doesn't want to rule with fear, and that's not what he's supposed to do. But I don't know. I think he would have just been like even if they didn't change the lines, if they just had his helmet on with like the voice changer thing that the Mando armor does, it would hit a lot more for me. I think maybe I'm a little put off by just not having the Boba helmet on all the time.
Well,
Again, personal thing. It's just that I don't know. It's my little qualm.
I love his dialogue. I love
Yeah,
how
you like
there's
it.
I do. And there's moments where he wants to assert his dominance, like when he storms into the mayor's office and the goon Twi'lek just says some mumbo jumbo. And he doesn't say anything. It's silent, and it's just the ominous look of him in his helmet. I'm like, oh, this is just great. He just walks around the corner, goes into the office. But Other times when he just pulls his helmet off, he makes like a smooth entrance into that female Twi'lek's club. Oh, it was smooth. Fennec right by the side, lifts the curtain up with his gun, just walks in, takes the helmet off. It's just super, super awesome. Yeah, I like the dialogue, and especially the dialogue he had, which the part where I'm so excited with the twins. Oh, his dialogue with the Hutts.
Yeah, the
Oh,
twins.
oh my
So
God.
yeah, I can, again, remind me. Did he have his helmet on the entire scene there? I
It's
think
a
he
good
did.
question.
I think he did. I think he had his helmet on the whole time there. And for me, I love that. I love just again like this armor version. I know it's the same Boba armor, but like just this version, I love the color on it. It looks like such like a deeper forest green or something than like the original that was like pretty, like worn torn, and like this one just looks a lot more polished. It looks so gorgeous, and I think that's another reason why I just am upset that he's not wearing the helmet a lot more, because I just think the armor looks so fucking great. Like I think yeah, it looks better than Mando's Jin's or Din, sorry. um Personally, I think it looks so good, so I'm a little upset that he's not just wearing it all the time, because it's a badass fucking set of armor. He's got like the rocket on the back too with the jetpack, so I'm a little upset that we're just not getting him in it all the time for the look of it, the cosmetic look of it, and the fact I just fucking love that armor. But also, I think there's so many times, and here I'm going to compare the show to Mando. How in Mando there's so many moments where, which in this show they have them too, where maybe something will happen and then it'll go to our protagonist, Din or Boba in this case, and he's just like he has like either a look of something or he looks to Fennec and then looks back and then it like progresses the scene. I don't even know what you'd call that. I'm not a fucking filmographer or whatever, but it hits so much more for me when he just has the mask on, because for one you don't really know what's going on behind the mask, but just him like doing that type of like non I don't know, like he's not using his face emotions to like portray what he's meaning. So it has some sort of weird effect on the viewer, at least for me, where I'm maybe puzzling what he's specifically meaning, but also it's kind of comedic because he just like it's like kind of robotic in his body, and I'm not getting that in this because most of the time he has his helmet off, and I just see Tomorrow Morrison.
Tamara Morrison.
Yeah, Tamar Morrison, like his facial reaction to it. I'm not digging it. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I hate to razz on an actor or anything like that, but it's just I don't know. I don't know. I think it would be better for me if he had the helmet on, but I'm not the one making the show. I'm a viewer, so I gotta just spew my beans on things I have issues with.
Spew 'em.
It's funny though, because again, if I compare the two shows, I feel like I love seeing Pedro Pascal in anything. He's just a beautiful man. I want to see his face, and I barely got his face in Mando. I just always got the helmet, and now on Boba, it's like I never want to see his face. I just want to see the helmet. But yeah, I don't know, because I know you love Boba's outfit. I know you love his armor. I know you agree it looks gorgeous. Are you happy that he just doesn't have his helmet on all the time? I think you and Travis talked about it last week, but I can't quite remember.
I mean, yeah, looking back at that scene where the twins show up, like he stands there with the
I
helmet
didn't even
on,
talk about the twins. Yeah.
crosses his hands over his rifle. Like it's sick. I love his armor. Just the tunic like pant aspect stacked with like the chest breastplate,
Dude,
the shoulder
looks
pads,
so
everything.
good. Yeah.
Oh, looks so good. Like I
Yeah.
love the original look of Boba Fett. I've got
Oh, you're looking for him.
a black. I
He's
was looking
creeping.
up on the shelf. I got a Carbonite Black Series edition of him, so it's like
Ooh.
shiny green, everything, and that's like his look from Return of the Jedi, which I love. I think it's awesome. It's just very classic. But when you look at what he is now, it just is like a clash
It's
of
so good.
Tusken and Mandalorian.
Man, oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, I absolutely love the look. And yeah, we didn't even talk about I didn't talk about the twins. You can go first, and I'll spill my take.
Well, as far as the twins go, I have been waiting to see, other Hutts appear. Now, I've
Yeah.
seen them heavily throughout like the Clone Wars and other aspects of Star Wars, but to
Were these
get
ones
them
in
live
the
action,
Clone Wars or anything like that?
I don't remember the
Okay.
twins whatsoever. Like there
Okay.
were definitely other high-ranking members of the Hutts,
Yeah.
that like Darth Maul interacts with and stuff over time. But I've never seen the twins before. These are Jabba the Hutt's cousins, as they said. So yeah, I just when I didn't know how to like interpret what was going on because like when the Lady Twi'lek was like, yeah, the twins are here or whatever, and then Boba's like, the twins are still in like Nal Hutta. I'm thinking like, oh shit. And then you hear the drums banging, I'm thinking, oh my god, like, are we gonna get some Hutts? And yeah, just they're being strolled in. The platform they're on is like sagging in the middle. These poor henchmen have to carry two
Yeah.
of them.
And like fucking far. I don't think they're domestic. They must have came from somewhere.
Oh yeah, they did.
Uh,
They did. But yeah, him that whole dialogue dispute of him just talking with them about like he's a daimyo and he killed Bib Fortuna, took over control and all this territory, and then the Hutt's bringing up like their digital contract and stuff of the claim to this area territory because Jabba's dead and all that stuff. Like, oh, this is what I really want right now in Star Wars, and I'm so stoked to see where this dilemma goes. Like, sleep lightly, like, oh man, yes, I'm sleeping lightly tonight.
Absolutely, when you got to work in a few hours. But yeah. So I think I liked like the political side of that entire like confrontation of like them basically having claim to whatever the land is that Jabba had, right? Like that's basically what they're saying. So don't say anything, but it was better than the first episode. There you go. Dave Filoni Gaming. Look at that. We got Dave Filoni.
But was it better? That's a great image.
But was it better than the first episode? Well, we're in the spoiler section, so I hope
Yeah,
you're not
be
listening
careful,
to us
Dave.
right now. Dave Filoni, I hope you know what happens. But Taylor already said it was better than the first episode. I think it's pretty much similar, if not worse. But getting back to the twins, no, I like that whole situation where they have like what would you even call that? Like it's not a contract, but it's just like a land claim or I don't even know.
Yeah, like an inheritance or something like
Yeah.
that.
Something like that. Like I like that aspect. It's fun reasoning for why they're there. And I've always liked the Hutts. I always liked that they're just like this crime family and they're just like really gross slug things that are just like really powerful. I always liked that idea. And it's great to see them back. I was very shocked actually to see them. I really thought the CGI was like, okay, this is like they haven't advanced at all since prequels. This is exactly like what Java looked like in the.
They blew the budget on the train, so
They did. Yeah, exactly. And that sand creature from last week's episode, which Travis didn't like the look of. I defend it. I think it looked actually pretty damn good, the sand creature. But no, with the Hutts, I don't know. A lot of zoom in shots on them where I'm like, okay, they probably could have just had it like a wider shot and it wouldn't have looked so bad. But like it was zoomed in and then he's like rubbing that rat thing all over his like fucking neck pores, and I'm just like, oh gosh, like this is kind of taking me away from the dialogue that they're speaking, but not enough to take me fully out of it. Because like you were saying, I like that Boba was conversing with them in their native tongue of Huttese and just all that stuff. Like I liked having this powerful force come in that's maybe not just like a Sith or just a big like Empire fleet or something like just different villains in that aspect. And I think the Hutts have always been a really cool just powerhouse, I guess, for lack of a better term, throughout the entire, at least versions I've experienced them with. I've only really experienced Jabba and what was in Knights of the Old Republic. So,
yeah.
but yeah, no, like I like that type of character. That is the Hutts, and we got to look at a Wookiee.
Oh
which
my god.
that was the highlight of the episode for me. He looked so fucking cool, man. Oh my god, like the black fur and like his armor, he just looked so war and rugged, like war torn and rugged, and I like that was the highlight of that scene for me. Like over the entire dialogue that they had, because I'm like, okay, the Hutts look pretty bad CGI wise, but then you have this really good like natural or like non CGI like prosthetic character that like looked really good. Costume, I don't know, I can't speak right now, it's pretty late, but he looked awesome. I'm really excited to get his interaction with Boba, and I hope it's not just like a fucking one-off where he dies like really quickly. Boba just dispatches him. I would be sad because he looks really cool, and I want to know more about his story. And it opened my eyes where I'm like, man, like when am I gonna see more Wookiees? Or, something that's not just Chewie. I like Chewie, but there's so many Wookiees. I want to dive into some more, and I know you were digging that up too, weren't
Oh,
you?
that
Yeah.
just after seeing the huts and then this big fucking Wookiee just strolls out, I was like, oh my god, I'm
Yeah.
getting like Bigfoot and like Kashyyykian here. Like this is
He
great.
was very big footy.
He was like he just looks so different from Chewbacca. He just looks
Definitely.
so sinister, and like Boba's just calling out like you can
Yeah.
bring out all the gladiators you want. Like we know they're gonna square off, and I
Oh
can't
yeah.
wait for that. This dude just looked like you don't fuck with him. Oh my
No, he
god.
looked yeah, because like Chewie, it's one thing because we just knew him since we were kids. Like he just seems so much more friendlier. But like also like like he has his like satchel belt thing, but like he's not really like looking like he's ready for war, I guess, like, other than just being a Wookiee. But this guy, he's like got armor. It looks like he had like scars and just like the gray parts on his fur with the black. Like it just looks so badass, and he looks intimidating, and it was a great little henchman for the Huts to have. And like I said, I hope there's a lot more with that character because
Mm-hmm.
I, for one, just want to see him like visually on screen, but also I want to know what got him in the League of the Huts, and stuff like that. That might be a big ask because this is just the Book of Boba show. We might just have more bantha tanks, flashbacks and peyote trips and just other experiences that Boba goes on. But I don't know. Like another thought that I was having while I was watching this episode was, I feel like okay, I'm mediocre on the Boba aspect, but I think if they went like a whole season on just like the book of Tatooine or something like that, and we just experienced so many different
Ooh.
parts of the world, I think I would have been so much more interested on that because I would have been okay with just a full episode of Tuscan stuff or something like that. I think it just it took me out of it there, or like just more behind the scenes Tatooine stuff. I think that would have been a lot more appealing to me. I don't know. I'm kind of just rambling things that I'd want to have, which you
Full
don't always
episode
want to
of
have.
Tora Talahan coming to
Oh God,
Tatooine.
no! That's where I'm cutting the line. That's where I'm cutting the line there. I don't want to see Toro anywhere near this. I had enough of him in Mando, but um, yeah. Do you have any thoughts on like what's gonna go on with the Wookiee? Do you have a thought that he's gonna be more than just a
Uh,
one-off villain or
I,
like
I
big henchman guy?
I feel like I mean no one likes to see a Wookiee get killed, but if they make you hate
Except
this
Dylan Muss.
Wookiee,
That guy
except
has a
Dylan Muss,
vendetta
oh
against
god, that hurts my
Wookiees for some
soul.
reason. It
Yeah,
does. I know.
I think this Wookiee is just gonna be just straight up evil henchman, which I'm down for. I'd love to see an opposite end of the spectrum Wookiee for a change.
Yeah.
And that leads to so much potential like awesome storyline stuff, or if we get it where he ends up joining forces with Boba Fett and you have Fennec on one side, this Wookiee on the other, and the Gamorrean guards in behind. Oh, let's fucking go, Boba, you're just the fucking legend. A thing I do want to add though is, again, seeing the Huts was fantastic, seeing the Wookiee was amazing, just getting all these different aliens in here. I feel like it's such a heavier dose than what we actually even got in the Mandalorian, because we've got
Yeah.
the
It's like a melting
Ithorians.
pot of
It
different
is.
races. Yeah.
There's Trandosians everywhere, and I love
Yeah.
it so much.
Do you know what race it like the people on the train were with like the testicle necks?
I I wanted to call them out as being Pikes,
Okay.
but I'm not gonna die on that hill and sit on that
Yeah.
hill. If
Guess I can look it
anyone
up.
in the comments section or as well listen to this review, if you know, let me know, because looking at Pikes with their masks off, I can only gauge it off of the Clone Wars, and it's not really a good like resemblance to go off of. But the reason I felt like they were Pikes is because their helmets were eerily similar to what the Pikes used, and again, the Pike helmet from Solo, Star Wars story. So
I
if you
think you're
know what
right.
they
No,
were,
they do look
they
like
look
pikes.
similar, right? Yeah. So again, if you know in the comments, let us know, or you just know in general. Oh, I see a comment here. How did they make building a stick as cool as building a lightsaber? I don't know, but I love it. And Boba is definitely going to unite the Tuscans against the Huts. Oh, let's fucking go. Yeah, Riley, I couldn't agree more. Do you feel like that's the
Yeah.
same, Kirkland? The building of the stick was the same as building a lightsaber?
Well, I like like the ritual aspect of it, how like like he's showing them like their methods, and then like that's his like last final test. Kind of like being, I guess for a Jedi, it's not really your last test. At least I don't think it is, but it just it's like a trial that you go through to like get your badge of honor. I always like that, like in any type of media form. And lightsaber one definitely I've seen similarities to. I just think like the forming of the scene, it just made me chuckle because it was just really weird. Just like woodworking the stick, and yeah, no, like yeah, no, it I have to give credit. It is fun to see that ritual of like building his weapon. That's what he's going to take into battle. That's going to be his piece there. But yeah, it's just the stairs between him and the Tusken were a little too friendly for me. It was a little bizarre. um, yeah, no, and then that last comment of him uniting the Tuskens against the Hutts. Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot more Tuskens throughout this show, and it's as you mentioned early on. Like I do like seeing them more as possibly a victim as opposed to just like these savage raiders. Because even from this from this episode, like you see them just kind of defend themselves from these trains, and easily you could have been filming like Luke Skywalker in that train, and they're like going through, and then these Tusken Raiders are just like
Luke
they have their
Skywalker is
rifles.
holding one of the guns, shooting them.
Yeah, fuck you, Tusken Raiders. But like just having from their perspective, it's like okay, this is more than just a bunch of savages shooting anything that moves. And they even had that dialogue where, yeah, they had the dialogue of explaining that like there are many different tribes. A lot of them are a lot more savage and vicious. I don't know. I like those minor things, but I feel like I could have got a lot of that stuff without the extended amount of Tusken stuff that I got. But I mean, it worked for you. It worked for, it seems like Riley 2816, and I'm sure many other people out there. I don't know. Speaking my thoughts, I wonder if Travis is more my camp or your camp on this episode.
I think he's more in your camp.
Yeah.
Like again, this show is definitely not going to be for everyone. It's going to have probably like a more like a finite amount of fans that are into it.
Yeah.
Which is fair. Like that's one of the best things about Star Wars is they can focus on different things for different fans.
No, absolutely. And I feel like I've said last week's episode I was pretty lukewarm on it, pretty mediocre. And I am as well on this one, but it's not a bad thing at all. Like at least it's a pass. Like I think it would have been a tragedy if I get a Star Wars show and it is a fail. That would be really disheartening for me. Just because I like Star Wars and I will be watching it. Just not a character I fully love, but it doesn't mean I can't just experience it and just be like, man, I'm glad I'm just back in the world of Star Wars. This is fun, and I think it helped that I didn't have major expectations for it because, like I said, I just wasn't really attached to the character Boba. I thought he looked really cool. Badass bounty hunter. Didn't really know what I was getting in on. I think episode 2, it's like, I kind of have my bearing of where we're going, and my expectation meter is in the right. It's in the right setting for what I'm getting in the show. And again, like they could, like that I almost said Chewbacca, that Wookiee scene, like that was really surprising for me. I really was digging that. Even the Hutts to a certain extent. I think I got pulled away from the CGI, but a lot of like those surprises, it's like okay, the maybe the show is something more. So I'm glad I'm getting sprinkles of that in just episode 2 now. That's a little hopeful, but I think overall I'll be pretty similar throughout the season.
Yeah, right on.
Ciao,
I think
bro.
that's pretty much it. I got nothing else except the score continues to be absolute fire. So,
dude, Ludwig, I'm really liking the intro too. I feel like maybe last week's episode I was thinking too much about the Mando one. I'm like, oh, this isn't as good as Mando. And then this week it's like, okay, this is good because it really it still reminds you a tad of the Mando. I think that's just like Ludwig's. Dude, look at me with my little accent. Like his style of maybe just composing like this type of Star Wars content, and I really really like it, and I love that flavor, and I like the new one for Boba. It's not as good as Mando, but still, I'm appreciating it more. It's the second weekend.
Yeah. Well, any final notes you want to shout out, or should we wrap it up?
I think we should wrap it up. I talked a lot this evening. My mouth's a little dry, so sleepy time.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week. And then we'll be back this weekend. We got the Dexter finale. We'll be popping off, and I think Dylan
Fuck
Must will be
yeah.
joining us for that too. So
Ooh, really?
I
I
believe
feel like
so.
I forgot about that or didn't know, but
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. So good stuff coming down the pipeline. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you in the search bar.
May the force be with you.
Oh. And he's gone just like that. Ending broadcast.